So this is the fundraising cycle. You first identify who could be your potential partners, you qualify them, because not everyone, you don't want to invite everyone into your organization. You only want to invite partners who share the same core values, the same vision, the same mission, and the same values, the same DNA, the same ethos. You want to cultivate that relationship with them before you solicit, and then once they have given to your organization, you want to retain them. You want to sustain that relationship. And in our case, we don't just sustain the relationship, but we want to grow them in their walk with the Lord, in their giving. We want to grow them in their generosity. Okay, let's go to number 1. How do you identify your prospects? Who are your constituents? How do you capture the universe? And we have a tool called constituency mapping, and we're going to do that. You'll have a chance to do that. A constituency map is like this is the universe of your church or your nonprofit, and you want to put names of people, if not actual names, segments like members, donors, board of directors, board of elders, partners, major donors, beneficiaries, alumni, and other stakeholders and constituents. So, who is a potential donor? A potential donor is someone who has the capacity to make a gift based on their capability. So, we have 3 C's here. First, you need to have a connection with them. Second, they need to have a capability to give. And then they need to have concern, meaning they share your vision, mission, and values. Oops, sorry about this. I think it's about the conversion from PowerPoint to Keynote. That's why it's not reading it. But let me read it for you. When you develop a constituency, and this is the tool that we're going to use, let's pass this, please. In the inner circle would be the people closest to your organization. Who are the people closest to your organization? They're in your inner circle. Who are these people? Inner circle of an organization. The board, of course, no? They're the pillars, the staff, the employees, the management. They are in the nuclear. They're at the center of the organization. And then outside of the center, who are the other people outside of your board, your employees, management and staff? In our case, we're school, the students, our alumni, our former faculty who have gone back to their respective countries. In your case, who would be the people beyond the nuclear, beyond the center? For World Vision, who would these other people be outside of the core or the inner circle? I think if you put them right after the board and the people who are organic to the organization, that they can be on the next circle, no? After people who are organic. By people who are organic to the organization, we mean those who are directly involved, such as the board of directors, people who are in the payroll, who are directly managing the day-to-day operations. But your major donors can also be within the inner circle, no? Relatives, yeah, because if I'm employed at ATS, then my friends and relatives can be in the outer circle because they're my own circle of influence. If there is a fundraising campaign for ATS, I can approach my relatives and family and friends as well. Is that right? And so, who are the other people outside of the core and the inner circle and the circle closest to the organization? Who are these other people? They can be former board members, former beneficiaries, they can be vendors, they can be your bankers, they can be people who have a relationship with you, they can be your service providers. Who else? People in your geographic area. No? If you live in a close community, it can be your barangay, it can be your local government unit, it can be a school within your community. So you have to think constituents, not just in terms of people who have a tie with us, but even geographically. And then the rest of your universe could be people beyond you. It can be Manny Pacquiao, it can be the senators, it can be the corporations, it can be the embassies, it can be the government, it can be other governments. And so we see nonprofit organizations who get funding from governments. Governments of Norway, governments of France, governments of other countries. And they have built that relationship with them. So, our next exercise would be to fill up this constituency map. And if you cannot, you don't have to put the names, but you can put the categories, like board members. But it will be good to put the number. If you have 15 board members, put 15 board members. If you have 30 employees, put 30 employees. How many in the management? How many are major donors? How many are alumni? How many are former beneficiaries? How many are friends or former donors who have been giving to the organization are not giving anymore? How many are abroad? Church members who are already abroad. How many are, have you had previous partners before that are no longer top of your mind? Include them. Who are your other potential constituents? So do some brainstorming with your partner if you are from the same organization. Otherwise, if you want to work alone for your church or for your organization, let's have 5-10 minutes to do this exercise. Then the next step is to find out who are qualified among this list of constituents to become partners with our organization. And people are involved in your organization through connection. And you've seen that the connection can be from the nuclear, those who are at the center of the circle. These are people who have direct benefit from your organization, such as the staff, recipients of your programs. The next level would be people who have indirect benefit. And these are what you call connection by affinity. Like we said, friends, relatives. Well, alumni have direct benefits to organizations, right? So they can be also an important constituents. Those in the fringe are people who are within your geographical area, meaning you're in a community, There's the local government unit, there are schools, there are commercial establishments, restaurants, banks. This can be part of your geographical constituent. So we don't exist as an island. We live in a community. So let the community know that you are part of that community and that life is better if everyone in the community can cooperate, which is what we do in our creation care projects. We go to a community, but we are Christians in conservation. We are located in Quezon City. We're not from Bacolod or that particular community in Pagsanghan. But we gather the pastors, we gather the church. If there's a school, we invite the school administrator or teacher. We invite the barangay captains and the council people. We invite the mayor. And who else do we invite? The pastors, the churches, the schools, the local government, the barangay. If there are NGOs, we gather them. And then we provide an awareness seminar for them for caring for the environment. So we ask them, what are the 3 main environmental issues in your community? And so they group among themselves. They talk about garbage collection or waste segregation or flooding or whatever environmental concern or problems they have. And then we facilitate a seminar for them to do an action plan. But before that, we bring in an expert, content expert to give them, let's say, the biblical foundation, why Christians should get involved in creation care or in environment protection. And then we maybe get somebody from the Department of DNR, Department of Environment and Natural Resources, to talk about climate change. And at the end of the seminar, they will do an action plan of what they want to do. And then the next time we return for the second seminar, we tell them, you are the ones who live in this community. We are just a catalyst or facilitator of what you want to do. And it's really up to you to make that cooperation. So you want to do the same for the geographical area where you live. I know that those who live in the city, it's not as easy to be part of a mega community. Like if you are in a big commercial complex where you don't know anybody anymore, you're not a community anymore, but you still can, for example, if you are near a mall, you can still befriend people in the mall, the renters in the mall, those restaurants and shop owners, as well as the sales clerks. That's one way of bringing awareness of your organization into the community. And that's one way of building or growing your constituency. And then capability based on the capacity of the person to give. Like we said, giving is proportionate. We're not only looking for wealthy people, but we're looking at everyone to give. Because giving is a spiritual barometer of our discipleship. If you are a mature disciple, then you understand that the money I have is only a trust from the Lord, and that I earn not only to support my personal needs, my family needs, but also to give to the needy. In fact, Compass Philippines, I think I already shared with you their matrix for giving. If you're a giver, you want to list down where your money is going, right? And they provide a matrix for giving to the church, giving towards evangelism, giving towards discipleship, giving for the needy people, and then that giving can also be categorized whether it's local giving or international giving. So we want people to be able to get into the habit of giving. Now, the reason why in the United States, an average laborer, for example, maybe has 5 to 7 charitable institutions that they support. But in the Philippines, we don't see a lot of that. Only the wealthy people give to their organization. But because in the United States, they have 200 years of philanthropy. In the Philippines, we're just starting institutional giving. That's why our job now as fundraiser is very important in teaching the Filipinos to get into the habit of giving. But Filipinos give. Research shows that Filipinos give. We give to our church, we give to our families, we give to our extended families, we ask our uncles and aunties all over the world, wherever they are, the Filipino diaspora, the Filipino OFWs, to support us when we need, right? If there's a calamity, Filipinos give. In fact, in the Yolanda, there was an outflowing of giving towards the victims and to the churches who are involved. And so, Filipinos give. But, not many Christian organizations have fundraising programs. And if you have fundraising programs, that's the avenue, that's the venue for people to give. That's the opportunity for them to give. So give them opportunities to give. And people give to programs and projects. So it's good to have programs and projects. And like I said, going back to the capability, we're not just looking for rich people to give, but we want everybody to be able to give. So if we have more nonprofit organizations who have fundraising campaigns, then we are encouraging people. We are giving opportunities for Filipinos to be able to give. Even if they give 50 pesos, 100 pesos, at least you're inculcating to them the habit of giving towards not just for good works, but for kingdom building. So it's good to have more fundraisers. That's why I like to encourage even young people, fresh graduates, to consider a career in fundraising because they don't consider this as one of their careers. If you ask young people what they want to be doctors, lawyers, but nobody will say, oh, I want to be a fundraiser when I grow up. Yes. So I wish one day there will be a scenario where people would like to become fundraisers. Sorry, negative. So we need to change that mindset about fundraising because it's really a noble career. It's a noble task. If we look at fundraising as a ministry, if you look at fundraising as a way to transform people and as a tool for evangelism. And then concern, we want people to give to you because they have a heart for what you do. And these are the people who will be your partners over the long run. And we've seen the various motivations why people give. Last time, we saw the 7 phases of philanthropy. And these are just some of the motivations why people give. But we know that the right motivation for giving is because we love God. Because that is a way to show that we are partners with God, that we share our resources. And we believe that it is God who gives us the opportunity to create wealth. It is God who provides jobs for us. And therefore, we need to share the blessings that we have been given, qualifying your prospect. So number 3 in the process is you have now qualified them. Now you want to cultivate. And there are ways and ways of cultivating your prospects. People give to your organization through emotional appeal and also through rational appeal. When you do a fundraising banquet and you present an very emotional, tear-jerking, multimedia presentation, and you pass the envelope, and people give because they were touched, no? Their hearts were touched, and they give. So people give out of emotional appeal. But we also want rational givers. Rational givers are people who give to your organization because they know your mission, they know your programs, they understand what you do. That means you have done your job as a fundraiser to raise their level of awareness about your organization. And it is rational givers who will become long-term, loyal supporters of the organization, not those who give an emotional appeal. Because sometimes, have you experienced attending a fundraising banquet and you were so touched, and normally when we are touched, we give. So you give 500 pesos, or you gave 1,000 pesos, and then you go home, and then there's that thing called dissonance, and you ask yourself, why did I give 1,000 to that organization? No, it's the same. You experience the same dissonance when you buy something. You go home and you ask yourself, do I really need this? Why did I spend money on this? You experience a certain dissonance. But then the following Monday, you go to your office and you have an email from the organization that you contributed 500 or 1,000, and they were thanking you for the gift, and they were giving you more information and where your money is going, and then you feel good about the fact that you gave. So you have lessened their dissonance. So there are certain things that a fundraiser really need to put in place, that an organization need to put in place in order for people to feel good about their decision to give to an organization. And they will know, this is a good Sometimes I give to an organization just to find, just a token gift, just to find out what they will do because I'm a fundraiser. I'm curious whether they will send me a thank you letter, whether they will send me an OR or a welcome packet. And if you have those things in place, then you're giving a good image or a good picture in the mind of the first-time donor that you can be trusted, that you know what you're doing, that you have things in place, and I can be encouraged to give more. So, building relationship, that's what I described is a picture of an entry-level opportunity. So you have given and for people who have not given to your organization, you want to keep the giving level a low threshold, meaning just ask for, in the States it's $25. In the Philippines it's something like I think 100 is already very small. So if you ask people for 300 to 500, that's a low threshold. I can give without thinking, no? An ordinary average person can give 200, 300 without thinking much about who you are, what you do, because it's easy. So keep the threshold low, and once people have already given to your organ, then the next job is for you to inform them who you are, what the money is going, where the money is going to, and give them another giving opportunity. Cultivating involvement can be in the form of inviting them to your organization. Like ATS, we have an open campus next week. An open campus is where anybody who are not enrolled can come and sit in any of our courses. So that's to give them a taste of what an ATS learning or classroom experience is about, And some of them maybe will decide later on to enroll as a student at ATS. And there are other ways you can invite them to volunteer in a particular program. If you have a medical mission, you invite doctors, medical professionals, and others to be in that particular medical mission. Or other programs. What are other programs you have? Maybe you have a feeding program or other programs in the community. Invite people. Invite as much people. That's how you get them to know who you are and what you do. And other involvement, maybe you need their professional expertise. Then you don't have to pay a lawyer or a graphic artist or a multimedia director. Some people are willing, they're happy to contribute their expertise to your organization. Like, remember, UNICEF raised millions and millions of pesos from one of their direct mail piece, which is the Sampaguita letter. It talks about a Sampaguita vendor, about 7, 8 years old, who was knocking at the window of a motorist, along one of the streets in Quezon City. It was pouring, the rain was pouring hard, and the driver really had a heart for this young girl who was selling Sampaguita. And that motivated him to write the story of that Sampaguita vendor for one of the direct mail pieces of UNICEF. And this person, probably, you can, he is an executive in a big advertising agency, but Philippine Bible Society was able to engage him to write a direct mail letter pro bono, and he was happy to do that for a non-profit organization. So sometimes you can get volunteers to share their expertise to you. You don't have to spend big amount of money, thousands of pesos, to pay for an expert. And that's one way to involve them into your organization. The same thing when you are developing your board. When you develop your board, who are the people that you want to invite to your board? You don't invite people not only for their names, because they are big names, but you want to invite people in your board based on the strategic thrust of your organization. For example, maybe you need lawyers, you need media people because you're now ready to be more visible in the community. Then you want to invite people who can help you become more visible in your community by inviting media people or journalists or broadcasters. And they're happy to volunteer their services as a board member or as a volunteer or a spokesperson. Now, the cultivated donor is one who is clearly aware of your mission. They know who you are, they know what you do, they know your impact in the community, and they are people who can commit their time and their resources to your organization. And also, they're willing to speak in behalf of your organization. I remember Karen Davila, the broadcaster, she was, what do you call her? She's an endorser, an ambassador for World Vision. So in most of her programs, radio and TV, she will inject World Vision. And that's good because a lot of people watch TV, listen to the radio, and if they hear celebrities endorsing a certain mission or NGO, then you know the kind of influence that has, no, for the average Filipino or the average person. So, what are other ways that you cultivate donors? You send them greetings on their birthdays, on their anniversaries. Now it's easy because there's Facebook. Maybe you want to sponsor their children if they're from out of town and they're coming to your area. Like right now, we have a friend from pastor's kid from Cebu who is attending a seminar, training seminar in Manila. So we invited her, we hosted her in our home in Antipolo for the weekend. You can do that to your prospects. What are other ways to cultivate donors? Other ways to cultivate donors?
During Christmas time.
Yeah. Send them gifts, send them cards, no? Send them a basket of fruits or tokens. Yeah? I think during Christmas we have bookmarks or whatever other gifts that we have as an organization. So we give away. That's why you have mugs, so that people, when they drink their coffee, they can see, oh, ATS. So you're top of mind when it comes to seminaries or World Vision. Oh, okay, children and relief.